Canada and the rest of the world's top female amateur to pro strength athletes. We do this because we want to empower women of all ages, shapes, and sizes to train and compete for strength sports at any level. Why? Because you matter, you're awesome, and we love you. So I'm Stephanie, aka Thick Stephanie Fantastic, the dancer. I'm a dance and fitness educator from Manitoba, Canada, with over 15 years experience teaching all ages in a variety of settings and skill sets. Currently, I'm the third in Manitoba heavyweight strongman and Scottish heavy games athlete. So today's episode, we welcome the amazing April H. H, hey, hey, she's so amazing, hey. And our theme today, you don't already know it, is talking about getting ready for a competition 6 weeks out. A lot of you starting to compete because it's summertime. Spring bod, summer bod, beach bod, right? Bikini. So we're going to help you with that today. And she is an absolutely incredible woman. I'm so honored to have her. She's from London, Ontario. Whenever I hear London, I always think England or something. I never think it's in Canada. I'm always like, there's a London in Canada. Like, I know that. But I'm like, oh, the British are coming. Yeah, so she recently won the WPC Canada Powerlifting Deadlift competition. And she's a world record holder for deadlift in Masters 184 kg plus. She transformed her body in 16 months from recovery from alcoholism, which is amazing, to smashing powerlifting records all over the world and beyond. And she is grateful for how powerlifting has saved her life. So she's going to share her story with us today. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Look at those. If you're listening, if anyone's watching the video, her biceps and her shoulders are, I'm pretty sure every man would, start buying protein shakes just looking at her shoulders, It's insane. I thought I was sick and then I saw you. She's legit. She's authentic. Those are some real muscles. Yeah, so where can they find you on G Girl, on IG? Where are you at?
So it's pretty simple. It's just my first and last name. It's April.Hutchinson.
That's how you say it. I knew that's how you say it. I'm glad I got it right.
Yep.
Don't worry, it's on the screen, people. Don't worry, it's on our website, and don't worry, it's also on our Facebook page, everywhere. You can find it.
Yeah.
So thank you, all my panelists, for tuning in today, and listen to the end for exciting news, tips, and her entire life story of how she entered strength sports. And yeah, so today I want to find out, I'm very curious, 60 months is a very short period of time. So what got you into powerlifting? What was the catalyst moment that changed your life?
Well,
whoa,
that's a loaded question.
No, I know.
I think the main thing, I had always dabbled, like I've always been athletic growing up as a teenager into my 20s. But I think, I dabbled with powerlifting, but I was drinking. So again, I'm a recovered alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, because every day I'm still an alcoholic, right? Till the day I die. So I'm recovered, right? So, but no, I actually checked myself into rehab about 2 years ago. And when I came out, I needed to have, some type of passion, something that drove me every day, something to keep me fit as well. So I had tried powerlifting a couple months prior to going into rehab, and I did, I was pretty good at it, but I also was showing up to the gym hungover every day, right? So I wasn't giving it my 100%.
Yeah.
It was there. I'd say, like, my will, my desire was there, but my health and my body and everything else with it wasn't going along with it. So I knew I had to check myself in, get healthy, 100%, then come out. And, I jumped basically right into it. I wasn't training 5 times a week. I started off probably about 3 times a week. Then I bumped it up and I was like, hey, to my coach, I'm like, I think I might do 5 times a week. And, yeah, for the last few years, that's what I've been doing. So, I mean, I went from, I don't even know what my body fat was. I think it was about 26%. And it went down to about 19.4 in just that amount of time. And I actually gained 10 pounds of muscle just in like 6 to 8 months. It was pretty crazy. So, but that was also, you know, proper diets. Like I wasn't eating like chicken, you know, broccoli, rice, but I was basically eating, you know, a pretty like whole foods. Basically, I don't follow any diets or any gimmicks or anything like that. I just eat whole foods. I eat
Yeah.
enough calories for my powerlifting, but yeah, it's basically just been consistent for the last 2 years. That's the main thing, right? I haven't missed one training session. Sleeping well, eating well, and that's basically how I
Yeah.
lost. I actually didn't lose weight. I actually gained weight, but I was all in muscle. So
Yeah. Well, people try to get way too gimmicky, right? And they try to, uh, you know, overcompensate with supplements. And so I used to sell supplements in my 20s and I stopped, and I swore I would never sell them again, because in my years of training and lifting and my body being all shapes and sizes, I learned that once again, you can't cheat sleep, you got to eat proper, you got to be consistent in your exercise. And that rules the day. Just don't train when you're sick, right? But, you know, that is the main thing. And then sometimes people just can't get there. So there's certain things you can do in a healthy way. Like I can't always eat. I've got a teething baby. So I'll eat a protein bar. Is it whole foods? No, but at least it's a healthy protein bar, right? And I'm careful and picky with those too. I buy the really good quality ones and not just the cheap, crappy ones. But yeah, you know, it's consistency, right? And in order to overcome an extremely big challenge, what I've learned in life is you have to match that pressure, right? So I think you can be addicted to anything, right? I think an eating disorder, whether it's alcoholism, eating disorder, cigarette, people put certain ones in a hierarchy. I don't. Anything that kind of has some power over you, to me, is an addiction, right? And so I don't think anybody is actually free of it. I think all of us have kind of something that we can get addicted to. It's just whether you addict yourself to something healthy, right? So that's what you kind of did, right? You switched it out, because it's not like you weren't committed. Anybody who's addicted to anything is committed to a certain extent, even if it's, you know, not subconscious, right? So instead of just being like, yeah, I have my alcohol, and now you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit the gym, I'm gonna do this. As you had that amazing power and potential. So a lot of times people, I think, they feel so weak, they feel like, oh, I'm so stuck in these bad habits, just like, which I just want to emphasize on the whole weight loss to gaining muscle mass, right? People understand, if you have a high, like for me being endomorph, I have a high ability to gain muscle and fat. So if I'm not training, I'm gaining fat. It doesn't matter what I mean. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you just have to switch it out. So that's amazing, because I think a lot of people look at someone like you and think, oh, I got to do this and this and this. And they just think it's super intimidating, fancy, excessive. And it's not, right? You just switched out the habits. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, and the thing too, I wish you could post one of my before. I actually have a before and after photo before I went into the day before I went into rehab. You know, and it's funny to look at me the day before I went in. I was slouched over. I had no self-confidence. You know, I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. You know, I felt so terrible. You know, no self-respect, no self-love. And just, you know, in a matter of months, how my dad said, he's like, you look like, the reason why I know you're back to my April that I have, right, is that you have that twinkle or that sparkle in your eye, and my life came back, right? My complexion, my posture, your self-respect and self-confidence is there, and you just hold yourself differently, right? So but yeah, so it was just such a mix of things. It was, like you said, it's sleeping well, which I never did before when I was drinking, obviously. And think of all the poison I was putting in my body with alcohol, right? So you know, and I didn't just come out of rehab and I was just back to normal. It was a process. It took months and months. Even just today, I'm starting to sleep properly. I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I wasn't getting that even like 6 months ago. So
it takes time too. Like what people don't understand. I talked to Jackie when I interviewed her. We talked a lot about this, is how you have to slowly add a healthy habit, and you have, you know what I mean? You can't, if you're extreme, sometimes people can do it, most of the time they can't, right? So it's like you slowly add those healthy things, because your body gets addicted, even with food, right? Gets addicted to unhealthy things. Even if you're allergic to, say, dairy, you're allergic, your body will crave it because it's used to that inflammation, that triggering, right? And alcohol is full of sugar. So it's like your body used to that, right? So breaking a sugar, people understand, a lot of people are addicted to sugar, even if they're skinny. Like breaking a sugar addiction is hard. My husband's skinny, and it took me 3.5 years to break him from that, to get him to eat what I, you know, because he'd go to work and he'd sneak in a coffee full of sugar, he'd sneak in a chocolate bar or something. I'm like, why do you eat like this? You know, because he could burn it. But I said, it doesn't mean that's good for your organs, though. You know what I mean? But it's a lifestyle, right? So when you do it for a long period of time, you have to understand it's not going to be, you know, I think you did in a very healthy pace. Like you see a lot of makeovers on Instagram or somewhere where it's 3 months, 6 months, and that can do long-term damage. And then if you're a woman, you can always have the high, you know, potential to gain that fat back. So I think you did it at a really slow, healthy way. Like the first time I lost weight and took my body back, it took 2 years. So I think you're a very healthy role model, like a healthy example of doing it the right way.
Yeah. And I remember like 3 months into my training, I said to my coach, I'm like, is my body ever going to change? Like, I'm not getting the results. And he's like, just hang on. He goes, just like, trust the process. You hear that all the time, right? That's so true. And, you know, then I'd start seeing like my delts stick out. I started seeing these changes and it was awesome. So I would do some progress photos. But back to the sugar thing, it's funny you say that because when I came out of rehab, I actually had a little bit of a sugar addiction because I was so used to the alcohol in my system. So I was crushing bags of gummies, like, you know, Sour Patch. And I had to have it every single night to help me sleep because that was my alcohol, right? It helped me sleep. But then after 3 months, I'm like, I got to kick that out, you know, get rid of it. And, you know, I started replacing it with fruit, right? So I'm like, well, fruit has a lot of fructose sugar, but it's a healthy fruit. It also has antioxidants, you know, and
100%.
Yeah, like I told my dad, he's on a Weight Watchers thing again. He's kind of a yo-yo dieter. And I was like, Dad, just eat fruit, right? Like if you have to in the day, eat a banana, eat an apple, eat some watermelon. You're not going to get fat eating fruit instead of having that bagel or that muffin, right? So
yeah. Like it's like kind of like if you are addicted to sugar and then you go like keto, or you go like, so I went straight to like a carnivore, pure clean carnivore diet, and I had headaches. A lot of people talk about you get headaches because your body's used to converting carbs, which is sugar, right? Essentially into an energy source. So when you take that away and you're like, just like pure protein, it takes longer to digest. So I had fat, like I had fat from meats and like say like an avocado or whatever, like that kind of thing. But it takes time for your body to switch. And like the sugar detox is a real thing, right? Like that's a real thing. And you have to watch your insulin, right? Like, so I say to women, I'm like, you know what? No, you know, is it ideal to be eating like, you know, a keto carnivore, not carnivore, sorry, keto, like, you know, Reese's Pieces bar? No, obviously you want a protein bar that's got more protein than fat. But if that's going to break you from that sugar, that taste, right? And then you have, you know, 2 solid meals a day, right? Like say it's a chicken salad or whatever. That's a lot better than just eating all of that or none of that and sticking to an extreme restricted diet and then binge, because then you develop binge eating disorder, right? Which is what happened to me in my 20s. All of it's dysmorphic eating. It's not good, right? So it's like, understand the chemical behind it, right? And understand that there's, like you said, process. That's the word here. It's process, people. So
well, it's funny too when you talk about all those different things you mentioned, like binge eating, and you talked earlier about all the different addictions. I heard something the other day on the radio about, was a recovering alcoholic, and he said like basically whether it's food or people are addicted, say, to social media, like going on their phones every day. And he said an addiction is anything that kind of interferes with your normal day-to-day life, but it's also when you need to escape. So if I'm feeling angry or I'm sad about something, people just easily want that instant gratification or that distraction, right? So that's why we run to food. We want to drink our sorrows away, want to, you know, have a cigarette to de-stress ourselves. You know, when do you ever think about people actually just sitting down and feeling like sadness or like actually being in tune with their feelings? We don't do that, right? There's always something to distract that, so we don't actually experience it, right? So
like life, you know, people have to think back like 100 years, but life moved a lot slower, and you didn't have all these distractions and entertainment. Entertainment is unhealthy and it's toxic and it's very addictive, and it's like it's stealing people's lives in a lot of ways. And also people realize that sometimes they're killing themselves unintentionally. And so I say to people, what's something I learned, because I took a lot of leadership courses, read a lot of self-help books and stuff like that in my early 20s. And one of the things that always stuck in my mind and really, really changed my life was play your movie back like as if you died. how much time did you waste on things that, you know, held you back, didn't help you reach your potential? Weren't things you really enjoyed? Like how much time did you spend wasting your life running away from pain? So be raw, you know, cry, get mad, just learn how to feel those emotions in a healthy way and put them into something positive instead of trying to shove them down. Like I think as a mother, that's a hard thing because you're taught to just smile, smile, smile all the time, be the perfect wife, be the perfect mother, and always like, even though sometimes like your kid is, you're just like, ugh, you know, and like marriage is hard. And so it's like, I think, you know, I say it's like teaching emotional intelligence to your kids. Like, you're making me really mad right now, and I need some personal space from you. Like, I love you, but I need a break. Mommy is right, okay? Mom is getting really angry, and I don't want to say something. I'm going to regret it, so I'm going to take my space. Instead of just being like, yeah, hey, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's just something that we're so, it's like everyone's become a bit ADD and disjointed. So, like, choosing the decision to break off any type of, you know, addiction or something that's unhealthy in your life, habit, hobby, whatever, is huge. Like it has to be a very conscious decision. So I want to kind of run backwards a bit. What got you there? Like what happened? When you're like, hey, I'm doing it, I'm checking in for rehab, let's do this.
Oh, so what took me to rehab or?
No, I mean like what made you say I'm going to do this? I'm going to change my life. I'm going to check in rehab.
Well, kind of like what you said, right? Like I had spent so many years just drinking, right? And just wasting my time. Like I would literally just, I don't know how many hours upon hours I would spend drinking in a day. And then of course I felt sick the next day and I couldn't do anything, or I just wasn't productive. But you know, there was a time where like I literally just got the expression, you know, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was literally so sick that I was like, what a waste of my life right now. And you know, I kind of referred to my mother who's passed away. You know, she passed away when I was 25, but she passed away of terminal cancer. And I told my last interviewer, I said, you know, here she was kind of fighting for her life. She would love to just spend one more day on this earth. And here she's given this shitty disease, right? Terminal disease. And then here I am just, you know, wasting my life away on alcohol and doing nothing, right? So I think every time I lift something heavier, I compete, I think about her, right? I think I almost have a little bit of anger, but you know, it's kind of in her memory because I feel like almost maybe she kind of lived through me, but it's kind of like, I was just so tired of wasting my life. And it wasn't any major moment that was like, you know, I didn't lose a job. I didn't lose a boyfriend. I didn't lose a house. I was a functioning alcoholic, right? So it was just a matter of I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to live that way. So when I started rehab, I was like, let's do this. And I do have an obsessive personality and almost like a perfectionist personality where I'm like, when I go 5 times a week, I'm going to go 5 times a week. I don't miss it for anything. I don't miss it for date nights with my boyfriend. I don't.
Oh yeah. I feel you on that one. And I appreciate sharing that. Like, once again, you know, your greatest weakness is usually your greatest strength, right? Like I'm a good talker, but sometimes I have to learn to listen, right? So it's like, you know, it's honing in those skills, sharpening, right? Iron sharpen iron. So I want to thank you for sharing that part about your mom. Actually, that's really cool that we have that common ground. My mom didn't pass away, but my family has had, you know, things like cancer and health issues. And my mom, you know, she's such a beautiful person, but you know, she's very passive aggressive because she experienced a lot of trauma in her childhood, and she didn't go to drinking, but like she just had a lot of rage, a lot of anger. And for her, it was like, I just saw her just kind of be gullible, right? And just take a punch, take a punch, take a punch. Cause she was raised, you know, just to be Christian and loving. And, you know, my stepfather was abusive. Like all the men in her life were abusive. You know, she's a nurse her whole life. So her whole life has been dedicated to serving other people. And she's actually like, I get a lot of my talent from her. Like she can sing, dance, she has the artistic ability. So it's like, kind of like with you, like, I just feel like why I have such a masculine side, I think, and why I'm so driven, strong man, stuff like this is because just so like the way my stepdad talked to her and talked to me, like women should only speak if spoken to. Women are supposed to be skinny, you know, not have really a lot of curves, not have any muscle, not do man things, go to the kitchen. That shit just pissed me off, right? And so strong man's a good, you get to grunt me a lot, it's great. But I use that like to be like, not that I'm doing it for her, but like I'm doing it for me, but also kind of like in the sense of, you know what, I'm not going to end up like my mom. Not that like her life was tragic because she's still alive, but it, so much of her talent was wasted, and so many things that she didn't do for herself. Like she struggles with being overweight, and that's because I know she has an eating disorder, and that's because she eats her pain, right? When people treat her like crap, she eats her feelings. And if you look at pictures of her when she was young, she was just super gorgeous. She still is, but it's like, you know, you could just see life has worn on her. And I just don't want to be that with my kids, you know? I have really strong boundaries with my partner. I'm like, you treat me like crap, I'm out. Like, I got money in the bank, bro. Like, peace, you know? And I just, you know, just for self-respect. And now because I've taken those choices, right? My mom is starting to change her life. And the women around me who, you know, are prone to narcissistic, abusive relationships, who've had trauma in childhood, are starting to, you know, so for me, it's kind of like, you know, you've got to be the change you want to see, right? So I can relate to that so much because my mom, I love her so much, and she has had cancer too, and I know that she, you know, may not be around forever. So I feel like I have a duty to not squander what she's taught me, right? And the skills and the genetics that I have, you know what I mean? Like, don't waste it, you know? So I get that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's funny when you go back to what you're saying about you know, not being disrespected and stuff. I was just talking to my boyfriend about that tonight, and I said, that's like that's another thing that makes me like, when you're talking about rage or like things that bother you, like that's another thing that actually kind of gets me going, is with men, like, are like that. And like you probably get it all the time too, but it's like, you know, you might get disrespected. Even just like guys, like some guys will like, especially on my Instagram, I'll have like these strangers message me and be kind of rude, and like some of the comments they make, like they're sexual, or like the guy, some guys just can't say, oh, you're very beautiful, you know what I mean? They say it in different ways. And I said to my boyfriend, I'm so surprised how men talk to women still these days. It's just like, you know what I mean? And that's the stuff that, you know, I do get angry over, but you know, I love the fact that I lift heavier than a lot of men.
Well, like the only time I get, like, it's good fuel for me is so when I get really pissy, I gotta put the glasses on when I say this, so I'm just saying, I won't be able to see your beautiful face, but when a guy says to me, I can't do something, like that shit makes me livid. Like when they talk to me like I'm a little girl, or I'm stupid, or I'm fat, I'm like, what, bitch? What was that you said? Huh? Huh? And I just want to pull up in a Harley, you know, like, and just like take him down. And that's how it is, man. Don't mess around. I'm like really nice and loving, and I go full like 1950s mama and make you like, you know, pigs in a blanket and cupcakes and shit. But if you are rude to me, you better recognize. I'm a drag. I have uncontrollable rage. Like, and it's like, my husband knows that, and he just kind of runs away like a dog. He knows I'll calm down. And I'm like, you know what? I was mad. You gonna do that again? No? Okay. All right. Okay. I got dessert for you. Come over here.
No, like, we're very similar. I have, that's the one thing I am working on, because I do try to work on myself daily, or I recognize, and I do get a lot of anger, a lot of rage, right? And it's funny, and something will just irritate me. I don't say it's rage, it's almost irritation, and something will happen. Even my boyfriend's like, you go from 1 to 10, and you go, you're like you're a pit bull. You just keep going.
Yeah, it's not me. And I'm like, blah, 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 you know, it's crazy eyes.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the only thing that I do, you know, whatever. Again, everyone experiences anger and rage or irritation, right? And you know what, whatever, like I said, you just sit through the feelings, go through it, right? So, but sometimes that anger is because I'm sad, because, you know, anger is always a secondary emotion for like fear or sadness. So I've learned a lot to be vulnerable now, and be, you know, I can cry now, which is unbelievable. Like, so, I mean, and it feels good. So
it's not weak, you know, like sometimes things happen and people say things like that really, you know, punch the air out of you, and you're like, oh, and it doesn't mean you're weak. And you know, I talked to, like, obviously doing this podcast, I've interviewed so many strong women, and they all on the kind of off the record say, you know, we get close, we become friends, and they're, you know, they struggle and they cry too. And it's like, this needs to stop, this disjointed of like, you can't, for men and women, that you can't be strong and cry. That's ridiculous. That you can't have moments where you need help, or that you're not okay, you know, and that strong people we need to get better at like saying, you know, I'm not okay and I'm angry and I need a minute, I need to take a walk. And I don't know, it's so easy to go through the day and the emotions, right? And I think for me is like, I've really tried to hone in on that, and that's what's helped. Like that's what the whole panda thing is about. And this phase of my life, having kids, I always loved pandas when I was a kid, but for me, it was just about having, you know, like the black and white, that yin and yang, and having peace and tranquility. So even though I can get kind of intense, like I try to just remember who I am, remember what my purpose is in life, remember what I'm trying to accomplish, remember where I came from, and respect that, and use that as a positive thing instead of a way to beat myself up, like with shame. You know what I mean? So, and it's loving myself, but not loving myself to the point of like laziness and not trying, right? Like you gotta be your own cheerleader, but you also gotta be your own head coach and be like, get up, go. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
That's true.
Say again?
No, I said no, it's totally true. Yeah.
Yeah. So walk us on that topic. Walk us through some of the specific challenges you overcame and how specifically you accomplished, you know, overcoming them. Like in your training, like in the 60-month process, what are some things that you kind of came up against?
You know what? I think one of them was, like I said earlier, wasn't getting results quick enough, I guess, right? And I think some people would be like, what? You did that in 16 months? Like to me, like it technically is like the amount of muscle that I gained too, right? Like I actually did it in quite a short amount of time. But you know, I learned a lot of patience, and like you always hear that cliche expression of trust the process, right? And I was always like, I never really knew what that meant, right? I just always hear it like consistency is key and trust the process. And but it's so true, right? I wouldn't really be where I am right now if I didn't follow that. But another thing too, I don't know if you can see on my Instagram, I used to model. I still do some modeling work, but I used to.
Yeah, your work is beautiful.
Yeah.
Girl, you good at posing? Hey.
Yeah.
Like and here, and pose.
Yeah.
Anger, sexiness. Just kidding.
Yeah, you know what? And I do enjoy it, but it's like, but I did it actually for 10 years, and I just traveled around the world doing modeling, and obviously things slow down. I'm like 45 years old now, but before that, I've always struggled with my body weight, like what the number on the scale, right? So as I was training, I think I was like 170, 75 pounds when I started, and now I'm up to 210. So for me, I battled back and forth because I always wanted like a six pack, for example, right? The six pack. And so I went up and down. I said to my coach, I'm like, well, can I get a six pack? He's like, well, yeah, you're gonna have to cut then. But if you cut, you're gonna lose strength. And I was like, really? I can't do both. And but then after a while, I just threw it out the window, and I was like, you know what? I don't care about the scale number. I actually look the best I have my whole entire life. I'm the healthiest I've been, which is key. But
exactly,
I want to win the worlds, right? I don't care about looking good on the beach, because who cares about that, right? That's for vanity's sake, right? But to win the worlds, I want
to run all the time like this. Baywatch, slow motion, boobies bouncing.
But that's the thing. That's how horrible it is. We still look good on the beach, right? How we are now. Yeah. Why do you think that because I happen to have a six pack that it's gonna make then that's it, right? But
you know what? I always say I got two babies, so like I don't give a crap what anyone thinks. You know what I mean? Like I freaking had surgery twice. Okay, I grew humans. I grew an eyeball. I do not care what you think. You know what I mean? My man tapped his ass. You don't tap his ass. I'm sure there's men in my DMs that would tap my ass. I don't really care what you think. It's a bikini body, okay?
But like I haven't had kids, and I still don't have a six pack, right? So like this is whatever.
So like it's like it doesn't. The world does not start and begin and end with six packs. Like I said, my husband will eat a chocolate bar and you will still see a six pack. So like it's like whatever.
That's okay. Yeah. No, I said that's the same with my boyfriend, right? It's just like like he can eat whatever he wants, and you know.
But I've dated a lot of bodybuilders before I was with my partner, and they're bony. Like when they're like, it's hard. It's like cuddling a rock. You know what I mean? Like it looks good, But a guy who's athletic with some softness to him is, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Nice and warm and cuddly. As long as he's still strong, looks good, I don't care. I'm not like, oh, you're a 15% body fat? Ew. Stop it. Wait, tired. Go do a push up. Get out of my face until you do a push up, then come back. So anyway.
I'm like you though. I'm a metamorph as well. So like I gotta watch what I eat because you're always I'm like an endomorph metamorph mix, right? So if I don't watch what I eat, I will put fat on. So
well, I'm the same way too. Like because I'm a mix, like I'm not like I'm fast, but I'm not as fast as an ectomorph, right? I'm strong, but a full endo, I gotta compete with it a little bit. You know what I mean? So yeah. I know that I can't skip training days. I know that I can't fucking cheat. Like I don't have cheat days in my food. I have, like I said, a keto bar that tastes like a cheat day. You know, protein that tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch Hill, right? That's my cheating, okay? Because I have to be very, very rigid. Otherwise, yeah, there's no forgiveness. There's
sure. Yeah.
My body's like, I know what you did last hour. I know last week. I know. So, you know, like how with the powerlifting, your body transforming through that process, did that change the relationship you had with people in your life? Like for me, when I did these big changes, even though it's over like a 4-year, 5-year period, I have none of the same friends in my life. I cut off a lot of family. I live in a totally different area of the city. Like I leveled up my life. As I grew, my life leveled up, my income leveled up. So I'm just curious about, you know, that outside aspect.
Well, definitely. And definitely, I'd have to say, like, when I came out of rehab, my circle of friends totally changed. You know, I had to set boundaries and I had to get rid of a lot of friends, not even friends, I guess acquaintances out of my life. Yeah. And I'm very blessed to have, like my boyfriend, he actually doesn't drink at all. So, I mean, if I came out of rehab and I was going to be with or live with a drinker, that would never work. And I would never do it. And, you know, I saw a lot of people in rehab that actually, after they went through therapy, they came out and they actually broke up with their spouses because it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So you got to look out for number one, right? And so my circle of friends is literally my coach. I have a few close girlfriends, but again, all of them, like even my coworkers, they're in their early 20s, but they're all good girls and they're all good. I mean, these girls are like 22 years old. I've never met 22-year-olds that get up at 5:30 on their days off. Just like, you know, they're not big drinkers. They're really just generally good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Very mature and very loving, and just basically word of my life is I mean 5 or less people, right? And they're all like into fitness too. So I can't say I actually hang out with someone that like smokes cigarettes or like I don't know. I find I attract, obviously I'm in the powerlifting community and I just attract that, right? Because that's where you are, right? So it's all healthy-minded people, and
you want to be with people who like give a shit about your goals, but also like will be like celebrate you with also push you to do more than you would do without them, right? You want people who don't like say, oh, that's dangerous. Oh, you could hurt yourself. I
hate that. That's my biggest pet peeve. My dad actually said that in the first part of it. He didn't understand what powerlifting was. So he's like, oh, don't, you know, or people go, don't hurt your knees. Your knees must be really strong that you can squat. I'm like, oh my God. So it's like, or my dad's like, don't break your back. I'm like, Dad, you don't understand how my training is, and like, blah, blah, blah. And then people that don't know about, I'm sure you've had guys like, so for instance, I just lifted 550 pounds, right, on the hex bar. And I had one of my friends come up and go, like it was a guy and he doesn't train. He's like, he smokes, he's 20 years old. He's like, I don't think I can lift that. I'm like, no, dude, you can't. Like, but no, it's just like, but don't you find it whenever you told men how much you lifted, they're always like, I could have lifted that, but you know, I hurt my back 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or
no, I get the whole like stupid comments about it's either like, oh, because she like eats a lot of food, or like they're skinny guy. That's their jerky, insecure way of saying it. And I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna come here, I want to punch you, but I don't want to get you out of the gym, so I won't punch you. Now I don't have to worry about that because I got my own gym. I'm so excited because I built my own strongman equipment in my garage, my garage and my strongman gym So I could train outside, and then my basement's my powerlifting gym, which is the shit. But yeah, no, I like, yeah, they either respond like that, or they like make a comment like what you just said, or if I just train hard, I'm like, then let's do it right now. Or they're like, well, if you lift that, I'm like, because you're a guy, okay? So yeah, you should be able to lift that. Ooh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you should lift twice that. Oh, I can lift that too. I'm like, whatever. Like, what grade are we in high school? I'm just wondering, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but my boyfriend, like he's a firefighter, right? And he's very athletic, very strong.
Don't even say that. I have a thing for fire. I like many uniforms.
It's pretty hot. So
I know. I seen that photo of you in that outfit, and I was like, "Oh, girl, do you take that off and put it on you?" I'm
that's his outfit. Yeah, that's his uniform. So
there's nothing sexier than a man working all day, kind of sweaty, a little dirty, coming home from work, smelling like a man. Hey,
it's
baby.
true.
I'm like, hey. And then you just want it. You're like, ooh, let me see that butt. Take it off.
Oh,
Sexy, take off the you know what I mean? Like, so hot. Yes, I'm very jelly. I'm not gonna lie. You did good, girl. He's a handsome man. So, what were some of the methods that you used in approaching your goals? Like, what were some habits that you added or removed to accomplish them?
well,
Like, even little things.
I just actually the key thing was to eat like often in my day. Like I actually can get very busy with work, so I have to make sure I do timeouts and actually come home on my lunch break and eat like a meal, or take snacks, pack my lunch. Because I was so used to like just getting up, having coffee, toast, whatever, and then just not eating all day, right? And then or like let alone having a proper night of sleep. I actually ended up buying one of those gizmos that monitors your sleep at night, right? Just so I can actually see how much. It's actually a ring. It's just actually pretty cool. It's not like a Fitbit, but it's like actually like a ring I wear. So, but it tracks my sleep. And I think also what's very important is setting boundaries, right? Because even like say if my friends were like, hey, want to do something tonight? And I'm like, okay, well, no, I really need to be in bed by 10 o'clock to get my, sufficient amount of sleep. I have to learn to say no, right? That was a big thing for me too, to say no and kind of be like, okay, well, I look out for my health, number one, right? Because my health means my sobriety.
Yeah, man, totally. I get everything. Like I prep my husband's lunches and I prep my food like 4 days in advance. If he doesn't want to eat, I'm like, I don't care. Then make yourself your own food. I did my part. I went to the store. I made your lunch. You didn't eat it. Too bad. You don't want to eat my fitness food. Too bad. Figure something else out, because that's what I made. And so I don't cater. Even with my kids, I'm like, dude, I love you, but it's time for bed. Mommy's gone. It's go work out. I have to wait till he goes to sleep. So it's pretty late, right? And so it's like the longer he stays up, the chance of me working out just gets smaller, right? Because you get tired, right? It's 6 o'clock and it's 10:30 at night. You're not going to like, hey, I'm going to lift a bunch of heavy weights. So yeah, you have to use the word no, and it's not unloving, right? It's self-respect.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said earlier too. Like nothing really comes before my training. Like I would love to have like a movie night, this and that, but it just have to be after, right, or before. And like you said, meal prep is key for sure. I forgot to say that, but meal prep definitely, I do it on my days off, and because as we know, if we don't have it, we're gonna grab the next nearest thing, right? Which is usually gonna be a bad thing. So yeah.
Yep, for sure. Just a quick commercial break, guys. So like I said, if you aren't already, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple, and Google. Please give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear, because that's how we show up in algorithms. And obviously, the more we show up in the algorithms, the more people we can help. If you want to get 24 access to our expert guest speakers, all you got to do is join one of our 2 groups. If you're located in Canada, you can join our group, Strong Women of Canada. If you're outside of Canada, we have a group called Team Panda Strong. And on that group, we do fitness challenges, dance challenges, as well as virtual dance classes, just training in general to help you get fit. I give away prizes, which is really cool, monthly prizes, and you can also raise money for local international charities, which is really cool. And if you are on TikTok, you can find them there as well. And if you do it with us, that's all you got to do is basically do a challenge, tag us in the post, and we see a video of you doing it, and then you could win one of our monthly prizes. And if you want to get hooked up with the best music, so you can shake that ass like me, then hop on to Spotify. Shake that ass for me. You gotta shake it. You gotta shake it like a soul shaker. Okay. Ooh, I like your cup. All you gotta do is hop on the Spotify, okay? And you will find our playlist Train Panda Strong Cardio and Train Panda Strength. And if you want to promote yourself as an athlete, contact me to get onto our athletic directory, athlete directory on our website. And if you have a favorite lifter that you want on the show, let us know. Thank you very much. So yeah, now we're back with the lovely, amazing April H in the house. Hey ho. So did you ever think that you could become as strong and mighty as you are now? Looking back as a master's athlete.
Well, definitely not. Definitely not during COVID, because like honestly, I literally started powerlifting maybe a couple months before COVID happened, right? So I mean, I had no idea at some point, like I think it was around March or April, where I was going to train, right? So thankfully my coach ended up building a home gym, so I've been staying consistent with him. But I had no idea like that I'd be like kind of crushing records, right? Like right now it's unofficial because there hasn't been any competitions, as you know, probably in the last year and a half, right? So I think in the fall they'll start opening them up so I can actually put my numbers in, right? But
yeah.
But no, I had no idea. Like no one ever knows. But to me, there's always someone out there better and bigger than me, right? So I just keep pushing and pushing. And
it's about how strong you are, right? And not about how strong other people are.
Yeah.
What's your warrior look like? What's your image of strong look like for you? You know what I mean? And that can be a million things, right?
Yeah, it could be like when I think of strength, I don't think of physical. It's more inside. And again, I think just like having a lot of self-confidence, self-love, right? Because if you don't have self-love, like I don't know, I probably wouldn't be able to do half the things that I do today. I'd definitely be all trampled over every day. Like I wouldn't be who I am without loving myself. And that took a long time to learn, right? So I mean just resilience, right? And I guess being tough is resilience, right? And then yeah, just self-love, self-confidence.
You're like a Viking warrior. Like I really want to see your hair up with braids and all like poofy and like mohawkish and beautiful and amazing. And like one of your like poses with your muscles. Do it. I'm telling you. All the words you drop. It would be a good photo shoot. Do it up, man. Take me in it. I'm telling you, I'll put it on the website. Thanks.
I want to do something cool for my first competition this year. I was thinking like
do it.
Like I don't know. I was one day short, maybe do like a pink hairstyle because I kind of have like.
I'll send you images, girl.
Features.
You have the features. You just need to put some paint right here and then just go get it, you know? So
my coach was telling me to get a skullet. I was like, you kidding me? That would freak people out.
That would be insanely cool on you. But you would be the most amazing badass human in the world. And then if you walk down the street, people would be like, oh shit, you know, like you then you wouldn't be able to blend though. Then it's like your amazingness would shine to the universe and stars and beyond. So yes. But oh shit, be prepared for the consequences of being badass and amazing, because I'm telling you, no one will accept you as regular after that.
And my boyfriend has to like it. Yeah.
You're an amazing woman. Power. So anyways, when we go back to the very beginning, when you first started training for powerlifting, what did your fitness regimen look like?
Oh, when I first started, like I said, it was probably like 3 times a week, and we basically just did 3 major movements in powerlifting. So like the squat, bench, deadlift, right? We didn't do a whole lot of, we did a little bit of accessory work, but we basically just devoted my time. So it was an hour session. So I'm sure just by talking about it, as you can tell, I have a coach. So I go in, I don't go to a gym like, you know, Planet Fitness or Good Life or any of that stuff and just go in do bodybuilding stuff, right? It's just mainly powerlifting. So, but yeah, that was basically what it was. Like basically a little bit of cardio on my off days. So,
yeah, okay, I get you. You know what? You don't have to be fancy, right? Once again, the basics never go to style. So, when you were training for the WPC Canada powerlifting competition, what did your program look like then, 6 weeks out?
You know what? Okay, so I actually, when I entered that competition, I had just finished peaking. So I was doing my testing to see where my 1 rep maxes were. So I actually peaked, did my test, and I pulled a 510 deadlift. But then I obviously deloaded before I did my 510. And then I was probably about 3 weeks after that I was just doing hypertrophy work. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go into this competition. And my trainer's like, just don't go full capacity. Just don't do the 100%. Just lift, let's see how high we can go. I didn't get the 510 because I didn't want to kill myself. And I just tested, right? So I actually pulled the 495, right? So I actually had no training up to it besides doing my testing for my other numbers. So it wasn't, I had no idea. Like I didn't really have a lot of time to prepare for it either. Right?
Well, and sometimes, like you're training consistently, right? And you're at good, healthy numbers for competition levels. You don't really need to change a whole hell of a lot. I mean, the basic thing is maintaining, not getting injured, just strengthening your immunity, sleeping a lot, making your recovery like top priority, getting really good nutrition in, and and water, right? Like we talked about this in another episode, like unless you're trying to hit a certain weight class, you don't need to water cut. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I drink so much water. Like I've got to pee like 50 times a day.
Right?
Yeah, my husband's always like, he's like, yeah, I have all of those. Every color, like gold in my husband's like, you just went. I'm like, shut up, you don't know. Or like when you're trying to lift, I'm like, when I'm training in my basement, I probably go upstairs like 10 pounds because I'm like, you're squatting heavy, and you're like, and then I got to run up 2 flights of stairs. Like, oh my Lord, I missed my gym when it's just 1 level. Had a pee, It's a woman thing. You
boys have to pee before I squat.
Yeah, all the time. Like right now, I'm like, you know what? Because in my mind, I'm thinking about after this, I'm working out, and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I gotta stretch and pee, and then do my squatting, or it's gonna be problematic. I break my back, pee myself, it'll be bad. So, what are some like training tips and recommendations you have for athletes? Like new athletes, right? So maybe they've been in the sport, less than a year plus, and they're preparing for the 6 weeks out, their first competition, or yeah.
Like I said, like before, like just stay consistent, right? It's like you look at that pie shape, right? And it's like your lifting is like obviously a major component, but all these little things like the sleep and the nutrition is so key. Like when I talk about nutrition, like I mean, like I'll have a cheat meal. Like I eat pretty well like during the whole week, but I'll have a cheat meal, say on my day off, whatever. I don't make it a cheat day. I just have one little meal, but I just know if I eat crappy while I'm training, especially for a competition, I will actually feel hungover, and I feel hungover the next day.
Yeah, you feel like shit. You don't sleep as well. Like it's same with like so. When you work out and you probably don't work out late at night, but it's a mom thing with young kids. You have no choice really. And it's my husband's work schedule. But it's like I need to eat after I work out, right? But I know if I work out super late and I'm eating at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I don't care about the weight loss. For me in that moment, I'm like, my stomach's gonna hurt. And I'm not gonna digest this because I'm trying to fucking sleep and I won't fall asleep well. And then I'll wake up with a stomach ache, and then I'll feel lethargic and shitty, and then I won't want to eat my early morning protein meal, and then I'll eat later in the day, and it just dominoes. Like it's just like not like that half hour makes a huge difference just in terms of energy levels, right? I'm sure you've heard of like Renaissance training and following natural sleep times and stuff like that. And I know me training late at night is not healthy, and I know that because I've trained at different times of the day, and the healthiest is obviously 6 a.m. Certain body types for me, I'm training between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's when I'm at my peak. But I can't. With my current situation, I can't. So I know that I have to, like I said, really do my BCAs and really do my sleeping and hot baths and all those other things, because otherwise it's just going to be a shit show. I'm just going to get hurt, not stick to it. So if getting ready for a competition, I mean, there isn't any for us here in Manitoba right now, but I mean that's the biggest thing is, like you said, it's not worth it, right? It's not about being skinny. It's like you got to be ready for competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like recovery, like all the stuff we talked about, recovery is the key, right? But I think and also another thing too, I don't think some people make it too what's the word? Not excited, but overzealous, and push it maybe a little bit harder than they should, and that could also bring about injury, right? So you kind of have to be careful about that too. So so if you guys haven't already, we have an online
gym apparel and lifestyle brand, which is really exciting. We have over 300 designs, over 15 products, which is really cool. And most of the designs are actually inspired by amazing guests like April, who've been on our show and have said or done something that makes me go, damn, girl, we got to make a badass shirt made out of you. Not made out of you, inspired by you. It's late, people, don't judge me. Okay, anyways, check that out, www.pattystrong.ca. And now I have been doing something which is a little cray-cray because I have dyscalculia. That means me and math do not mix, okay? So I've been making my own strongman equipment. I haven't made myself explode yet. I haven't, stabbed myself in the nail. It's been okay. So check it out. Check out how to make your own bougie ghetto gym style strongman equipment for cheap. If you want to start training strongman and you have no access to metal or welded equipment, I know there's amazing people who build it and you can, purchase online. Maybe you don't have that budget. Check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. All you gotta do is type in Pam Strong Podcast or Fantastic to Dancer. You will find it. If you want to get in touch with April, check her out on Instagram. She's an incredible human, super down to earth, nice, just great person. And she's willing to help if you have any questions or, new to the sport, just send her a little DM. Don't be a weirdo, guys. Don't be sending her weird messages. I do not approve those. That is not what I'm talking about, people. Only the
like I said, if anyone has any questions for me, make sure to contact me about like anything with powerlifting or even like recovery from addiction. It's good to reach out to people, not that you're not alone, right? So.
And because you can just like eating disorders or like once again anything, you can sometimes flip back or question things when times get tough, and you need people who can relate and have a support system that can encourage you. And I just want to say, like, April, I really want to thank you for being on my show. You're extremely incredible. Like, you're just very inspiring to me. I know what it's like to take on challenges, and I respect the hell out of you. It's never too late, right? Like, as a master's athlete, it's never too late to join strength sports or to dramatically change your life and become a whole new person. And I think it's really amazing, and we need to celebrate more women who are past the age of 45, who are literally almost like redoing their 20s and 30s and just like doing life the way they wanted to. Like, I just think that's really beautiful. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of mental, emotional, inner strength to accept love for yourself, to accept that you can have a better life, and to actually follow through with it, to set world records. I just think that you are just such a healthy role model. And thank you for sharing your story with me.
Thank you very much.
It's just so great.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And like I said, guys, get in touch with her. And if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask her or you'd like us to ask her, let us know. We'll get in touch. Thanks for listening, guys. Have an awesome day. Before you go, you got to do a dance. Okay. To me, and then you got to flex. I'm not going to flex. I'm going to hide my muscles in the jacket because you're just doing things right now. Yeah. So that's it. And then if you want to do, we're on time. It's like 9:02. That's good. If you, I really encourage people to do it because it's good for your following, but it's just good for women who look up to you. Say there's a new master's athlete who was inspired by your story. If you want to do any kind of fitness challenge, you don't even have to edit it. I can post it on our Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or website. You don't have to do anything if you don't want, but obviously it'd be great if you could come up with something. And it can be funny, it can be silly, it can be 15 seconds long, 60 seconds, whatever. Something to think about. No rush. At any time this month, if you want to do that, let me know. Like I said, I'm looking for women like you. You're an amazing master's athlete, to like represent my brand, and